Planet Zoo is a great game, even the best game of Frontier developments. As of the latest annual report, we know that this even outperformed now finally the games like Jurassic World Evolution, including all 3 installments and all of the F1 management games. That said, 2 big IPs were not able to compete with a zoo game. But why is it? Despite the fact the game is unfinished, incomplete, and in some ways even broken, which I'll get to at the end of the video. But we will be looking at why this game is so good that it can even pull crazy average peak numbers on Steam, competing or even beating the new games Planet Coaster 2 and Jurassic World Evolution 3. Let's dive into it. Number 1 being the revival. It did revive the genre, just as Planet Coaster did revive the theme park genre, and let's not talk about that competitor at that time. Planet Zoo revived the zoo genre. Zoo Tycoon 2 was quite a while ago, and let's be honest, the Zoo Tycoon for Xbox was not really a zoo game that the core community wanted. Now, Planet Zoo was the successor, or let's say the spiritual successor of Zoo Tycoon, kind of similar to what the Roller Coaster Tycoon franchise has seen. Now, this revival was super important for the whole community, and it brought a game that initially, with its launch, was already better than Zoo Tycoon with all the modding. Zoo Tycoon 2 is a game that was having a longevity due to its incredible modders and people behind all these mods. These people were equal to the people getting involved into Planet Zoo early on, and that, my friends, is a very good starting point when you have such a strong community jumping on your game and making this game initially being a very active beehive of competent people playing a game of their hearts. So that was definitely a very good revival point for the genre, and let's be honest, there was a huge investment and a huge interest in zoo games, so it was a perfect timing for a new zoo game, which made its launch, despite a couple of flaws here and there, still very successful, opposed to some other launches Frontier has experienced later. Number 2 on the list might be a bit surprising, but it is basically it being a successor. And you may be saying, why is it successor now all of a sudden? Well, it's the first installment, right? Yes, it is, but it is the second installment in the Planet franchise. It is a direct successor to Planet Coaster, which was indeed a very successful game for Frontier. And Frontier themselves said that Planet Zoo was the game they always wanted to do, and Planet Coaster was kind of a way leading to Planet Zoo as the final product they wanted to do with the Planet series. Now, they did actually do something very good here. They took the strong foundation of Planet Coaster and created a Planet Zoo that felt like a true successor of Planet Coaster. I have been playing Planet Coaster for over 2,000 hours, and jumping into Planet Zoo, it immediately felt familiar. And that is true for a lot of creators, which is equally the exact thing what made Planet Zoo at the beginning so strong. There was a huge amount of YouTube creators and in general creators on Twitch and so on that were used to the piece-by-piece system, to all the systems in the Planet game, and they brought this over to Planet Zoo, being capable of creating great stuff that you could use obviously for marketing and reach immediately, that initially with the Planet Coaster time had to be developed. You know, all the tricks, all the drama, all the ideas that have been around for Planet Coaster were initially being a big lever for communication and for reach for the Planet Zoo franchise, growing with all its creators at the beginning. And you can even see that with the channels like mine or Delay Designer, who grew tremendously with Planet Zoo, and so the game did. Number 3 is the base roster of the game. I think the base roster in the game was a pretty damn good choice. Frontier did deliver on a lot of levels. We had a good choice of exhibit animals, of birds, of habitat animals, and even big runners like elephants and giraffes, you know? All the most important animals that you want to see going to a zoo, you have in the base game. And that is a pretty solid base roster, despite the fact a lot of zoo favorites like meerkats and other stuff, penguins for example, have been lacking in the base game. There was that promise of getting those in the future because of its capability of having all these different animals you've seen already in game. There were swimming animals, they were running animals, well, kind of flying animals, not directly, but the flamingos were in game, and so on and so forth. So the promise of a good future was given by the base roster, which is still a very good roster for a zoo game. Well, full stop. I think it was just a very good base roster. Number 4 on the list is finally going deep into the system. It's all about true innovation. Planet Zoo is a truly innovative game in this genre. It installed a pretty new way of how animals interact with habitats. For the first time ever in a zoo game, you could build literally the habitat of your dreams, and your animal will be able to use it in real time. No restrictions of predefined structures, no restrictions of a rectangular design, no restrictions of having predefined areas where to walk. No, you plop down your items and the animals, depending on their skill of running, jumping and climbing, will be able to use that habitat. Is it a hippo? Well, it may need some more space to traverse. Is it a little monkey? It can basically climb everything and also escape everywhere. This has been a major point why this game is so incredibly good at longevity. I remember before the game was released, in my comments people were fearing if Planet Zoo is going to be fun for a long time because there's ever so much you can do with the panda habitat, they said. Well, turns out that you can build a panda habitat 8 times and it's going to be totally different 8 times, and you can build it a 9th time and it will be different again. So after all, the longevity of Planet Zoo is much better than the one of Planet Coaster was, which is a true testament of how individual and great this system was. Truly, it has some issues still, there are some glitches and some climbing problems, yes, but given how innovative it was and given how free you can build it, it is a bit more forgiving to say this was the first thing. However, it's gonna make the second installment of the game even more harder to succeed because it has to match at least this level or make it even better. So this is a true innovation. The locomotion system and the traversable area and the way animals interacted with their habitats is a truly big innovation which made this game so great. Continuing with the ideas, number 5 is all about the many ideas the game introduced, some of which have been realized in a better or some of them in a worse way. However, the game has a lot of ingredients that hopefully can be improved in the future, but also were some good things in the game. I'm talking about stuff like the conservation credits being a second currency to add some more meaning to how you achieve and get animals. Then we also have all the kind of weather impacts, true weather impacts, where animals needed to seek shelter, they needed shelter to have warmth, and also how they behaved in their habitat. If they didn't have enough shelter in direct sunlight, they were getting hot, and so on and so forth. So that was a true system, again reacting to the real world you are building, opposed to having, let's say, clickable items to improve the well-being by just adding a shelter per click. No, this time around you needed to basically build them a shelter with enough space, enough shade for them to roam in and then have a good time. That all together has made the game so good and so innovative, but also kind of overwhelming to other people maybe in the first place, but then again made it more deep and more engaging the longer you played the game, giving you more fun over a longer period of time playing the game, which eventually leads to a good rating for the game. Despite, you may not be happy with everything, at the end of the day, most people I know have hundreds of hours in Planet Zoo. Being a creator or not doesn't matter. They just had a good time building a couple of zoos, and quickly you got over 100 hours in the game, which is, considering nowadays standards, a pretty significant number. You know what's also a pretty significant number? Number 6, that's the next point, but also even more significant than that is the number 20. 20 DLCs have been made along the way of 6 years in Planet Zoo's life support. This is the absolute true frontier way. Planet Zoo is the example of nurture. This is the kind of deliver and nurture idea. Planet Zoo's base game was a strong foundation, but they delivered along the way. Let me give you a little quick fire of things that have been added along the way. Well, it's actually been quite a lot, and here's the list. I'm just going to read so I don't forget about those things. There has been things like, for example, the actual diving coming with the first big aquatic DLC. Actual restaurants, souvenir shops, brachiation, so that means the capability of monkeys and apes climbing, head over with their hands. Then we also had wonderful stuff that guided tours and educators in general. We got animal encounters and much, much more like the big exhibits, the walkthrough exhibits. So it wasn't all about just giving us more animals, it was all about giving us a true improvement to the game. Every single update, they made big progress, making the game feel so much more fleshed out and final after all these years, but also giving us a lot of fun along the way to explore new things. That was absolutely wonderful and just kind of rounds up my 6 points of why this game is so incredibly good. And finally I hit my microphone, because without that wouldn't have been a Rudy video. So let's head over to my conclusion. So despite not having full aquatics, despite having non-flying birds opposed some animated walkthrough exhibit animals, and despite the fact there is still a lot of things broken in the franchise mode and souvenir shops still are broken as well, this game is absolutely amazing and it does actually justify all its brilliant ratings. I gave you reasons why, and I think we can overlook a lot of the issues by the sheer fact how good the game is for a long, fun play experience. That said, people were also buying into the idea to have all these things I mentioned earlier in the future, which now is becoming maybe true with a second installment of the game. However, I'm making this video to reinforce how hard it's gonna be for the successor to actually not only beat the game, but improve upon that true big great base that Planet Zoo 1 was. We already saw what happened with Planet Coaster 2, a mighty anticipated game of maybe the first big Frontier installment. Planet Coaster was a great game, so people were absolutely hyped for Planet Coaster 2, and you see what the launch did to the game. So this video should showcase how good Planet Zoo is, and if you have not played Planet Zoo, this is your time to get it from Instant Gaming, because Instant Gaming is not only my partner channel of the partner, but it also is a platform that will give you access to all the DLCs of Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo, and you can test it out all before the second game will hopefully come in. It's also pretty easy. You can just click the link in my description and you get that. And you know why I'm saying that at the end of the video? Well, because this is actually what makes these videos kind of possible. They support me, and so I'm free, a little bit freed from that weird algorithm kind of fight. So hopefully this video was enjoyable for you. I hope you guys are as hyped and kind of anticipating Planet Zoo 2 as much as I am, and let me know in the comments down below what's your favorite feature of Planet Zoo. Why do you like it so much, or what is maybe the one feature you're missing the most from this game, despite all the other things that made a lot of fun and gave you a good time. And also don't forget to add the number. How long have you been playing this game already for? I want to see how many hundreds of hours we can get together. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one, and bye.